Hello everyone and welcome back to Nostalgia Bait. I'm your host for this week, Cooper Britton, and I'm here with my co-host, George.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're both hosting it, you bastards. Welcome, hello.
No, it's like main host and co-host. Like,
I see.
Main host is like introduction. That's the way I did it.
I think you're going to be like, I'm the host and I'm joined today by this dick.
I'm the host and I picked up this random guy off the street.
Nowadays, that's it. It's all charity.
But it's an exciting episode too, because we're going to be talking about something very dear to my heart and very dear to your heart as well, and very dear to our friendship, to put it that way.
Yeah.
This is the Star Wars episode, which I think could go literally any direction this week.
Yes, it could. We've talked about Star Wars a lot, and we've talked about Star Wars on the internet a lot as well. We did, obviously, as I mentioned,
literally.
My old podcast, Spill Your Beans, God rest its soul. We did 3 episodes talking about the Star Wars films, all 9 of the mainline ones, and we're going to do exactly the same today, and probably again in the future as well, I think. I mean, this is just going to be something that comes up. We're both big Star Wars fans. Yeah. A lot of our friendship came around Star Wars, and more recently, we went to Star Wars Celebration together, and I think we've seen all the newer Star Wars films in cinema together as well. So
we saw Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker, sorry. Yeah, but we didn't watch. Oh, actually, I say most of the time.
We didn't.
So we actually out of all the Star Wars films that have been released in recent years, we actually haven't seen.
But that's the thing, though.
Half of them.
Star Wars films in recent years. There's only been 3.
Yeah.
All the rest of them have been TV shows.
Well, I was thinking like Rogue One and Solo as well.
Oh, true. I didn't say Solo until Star Wars Celebration.
I forced you to watch it.
Ooh. Star Wars fan over here, definitely.
Yeah, man, that's bad. Yeah. That's bad form.
Woo!
Yeah,
that's true. That's bad form. To be fair, I say I'm a Star Wars fan. I do not have the qualifications to be a Star Wars fan.
Yes, you do, brother.
I don't.
You were telling me about lightsaber fighting techniques when that's like 10 years ago. What do you mean you're not a Star Wars fan?
It's more like I haven't seen Andor. I haven't seen all of Andor. I've not seen all the second season of Bad Batch.
Okay.
A lot of the ones I start and I haven't finished.
But you're gonna get there. And that's kind of why we're doing this episode today, obviously, is Bad Batch starting this week. Bad Batch. Some of us actually watched it when it went live originally and actually enjoyed it when it was coming out. But obviously Cooper's going to have to catch up with that before.
I don't, it's one of those things. I kind of started watching it, I downloaded it to watch on the plane and then never continued watching it.
You know what?
All the other ones I've watched, Mando, I always watch. Ahsoka I watched. Sadly. Not Ahsoka, that was Mando. We love Ahsoka in this house.
You almost, a little bit of Freudian slip there, Cooper. You almost alluded to about that Ahsoka wasn't very good.
I think in I don't watch as much nowadays, or I'll start watching them and then just never continue them. But old me, like 16-year-old me, is what made me qualified to be a Star Wars fan. So
you were more of a Star Wars fan, not more of a Star Wars fan than I was. Like again, I think you depends on.
I think
if you grade what you've seen of Star Wars as how big of a fan you are, which I don't think that's fair. I think it's just how big of a fan you'd say you are, like as a person. I'd say both.
When we came into it, I think we were almost 2 different sides of it. Because where you were more original trilogy movies, I was more like Clone Wars, Rebels, kind of like.
No, I grew up with the prequels, as did most of the people of our generation, and but I didn't watch Clone Wars. I just didn't really like it, and I didn't like the style of it. I just thought it was. I didn't get it. I didn't like the cartoon.
Adult you now does though.
I do now, which is mad because it's a kids show. That I should have enjoyed it then and not
it's
now.
A kids
but actually
show,
now it's turned around and I'm like, yeah, this is great. Actually, I watched it all in lockdown. So my experience with Star Wars was more. I grew up with the prequels. I grew up with the original trilogy. I watched the prequels first, which is brave from my dad putting Phantom Menace in front of me and me loving it. But obviously, as a kid,
as a kid though, as a kid, you love Phantom Menace. I remember. I went to see Phantom Menace in 3D. Sorry,
that's fine. Yeah,
I went to see Phantom Menace in 3D when I was a kid.
I remember that happened. Was that good?
Yes. To be fair, I loved Phantom Menace when I was a kid. It's only when I watch it in recent years. Yeah, it was cool. And to be fair, the 3D glasses that you got with the
pod racing
goggles.
Damn, that's
they're
really
in the
good.
house somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like we come from 2 different sides of Star Wars. Whereas you, when I was a kid, I remember Clone Wars being and the Lego games as well.
The Lego games for me as well. I think like the reason the prequels are so like affirmed in my memory is because of the Lego games. I think if the Lego games didn't exist, I wouldn't be as big of a fan of Star Wars.
Yeah,
as I am. I think that definitely alleviates a lot of the the criticism of the prequels. Is like, I grew up watching them as a kid. Like, I was born 2001. I loved the prequels when I was a kid, and I grew up with them. I watched all the DVDs of the original trilogy, which is why I never really got the whole, like, Luke is... Vader's Luke's father thing when I watched it originally, because I was like, yeah, we know. We've already seen, like, two episodes ago. Come on, man. Catch up. But... yeah, and then the Lego games, as I say, like, those are the ones that I have the strongest memory with. The music from the Lego games is why I love the Star Wars music as is. I think it does ingrain on you as a childhood memory. Those games are classics and so memorable, and make those parts of the film even more memorable. Like, Droid Factory in Attack of the Clones is terrible. It's an awful CGI sequence. It's horrible. It's kind of a bit jokey, just a bit of a mess all around. The Droid Factory level in Lego Star Wars game was incredible, though. That was fucking great.
Yeah.
It still is. It's a great mission, fantastic, a lot of fun, and I remember that more than I remember the film.
The complete saga of the Lego Star Wars games makes Attack of the Clones look good, because everybody who remembers Attack of the Clones remembers the Lego, remembers the Lego level where you fight in the Colosseum and the arenas and stuff. The movie, it's not a good movie, but the Lego game just makes it incredible. And I think it's the same with Phantom Menace, like the final fight in the Lego games where you fight Darth Maul. It's so cool.
Okay, but
to be fair, even in the movie, it's
I was going to say, Phantom Menace, the last
fair.
half an hour of the Phantom Menace is fire. A lot of people criticise the Phantom Menace with a lot of validity behind it. I mean, you can't knock a lot of the politics scenes. Are very, like, slow for an action adventure movie, but I think, like, it sets up the world building, and I like that. I think as an adult now, I appreciate it more, but I think that's just, again, as time moves on, and I've talked about this with Doctor Who before, where it's a thing where when you're living in the moment, like, I can imagine in 1999, if you were a Star Wars fan and you loved the original trilogy and you watched Phantom Menace, I can see why you would have been immensely disappointed, and I can see why a lot of people were. But I think growing up with Phantom Menace, and now just it being however many years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago this year...
yeah.
That's mad anyway.
Jesus. Wow.
But, like, it's not that bad, is it? Let's be fair. Like, it's you remember it. I think when it came out, it's probably a bigger impact. Whereas now, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
I don't remember.
Like,
I don't remember them coming out. Like, I wasn't really a part of, like, paying attention, or I was so young.
Yeah.
That it never really made a massive difference to me. Like, the backlash that they got originally.
Sure.
I just knew it from kind of... when I first got into Star Wars properly, like, lightsaber fighting styles and colours properly, was Force Awakens, because I remember watching Force Awakens. And I'd seen the prior movies. I'd seen Clone Wars, that kind of stuff. And I remember seeing Force Awakens and being like, wow. Like, I remember it making me want to... It was one of those things that made me want to know. Like, I want to know everything. And that's what made me to go back, and I rewatched all of the movies. Clone Wars I've not rewatched in a long time, and it's on a list. It's there it needs viewing. Season 7 I've seen about 4 times, but
yes, of course,
because it's one of the greatest
pieces
of media
the
ever.
final 4 episodes of season 7. Let's be clear.
I mean, I don't hate all of it. The final 4 episodes are the best. There's just no debate.
The Bad story is okay, and the spice farming stuff is okay, but, like, the real thing to stay as for is the last 4
I think
episodes.
the final 4 episodes could be the best episodes, or some of the best episodes in Clone Wars. Even
just the best Star
episodes in
Wars
Clone Wars.
media, I think, could be. It's up there. Yeah. It's brilliant. It's just it culminates everything together in a really brilliant way. And, like, I wish I'd have watched Clone Wars at the time to really appreciate when that came out and really be part of it, because I feel like I wasn't, and I didn't watch Clone Wars when that came out, and I think, like, I did miss out on something there, because that's so exciting.
Yeah, because I remember when it got announced and being like, "Oh, we're like bringing back the lost episodes," and everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
Massive. I get goosebumps watching reactions to that now, and I was I didn't even care at the time. I watched it in lockdown, so I watched obviously all the films, had my opinions on all the films, but I never really jumped. I'd even started watching The Mandalorian. Never watched Clone Wars, everything like that, and it was before Mandalorian. It was the year of Mandalorian Series 2 was going to come out in the December, and it was lockdown, and I was like, the rumors were coming out, and the rumors were like, okay, Ahsoka's going to be in it. And I was like, I'm going to have to watch these animated shows, because fact of the matter is, sooner or later, it's going to catch up with me, and I'm not going to know what's going on, and I'd rather know what's going on. And that shouldn't be the case. I don't think it was. I think the general audience would understand, but I'm the kind of person who, as a fan, would want to see all that and
I'm
would
the
want to
same.
appreciate it. And my God, was it the best decision I made in my life? Yeah, I didn't sit in front of the TV gripped to it. I had it on mostly in the background when I was, doing other things, but I was able to follow it and I enjoyed it and I loved it. And then Rebels was pretty good as well. I enjoyed that. And yeah, what a great sort of, what a great time for that show, and just like a great time to sort of get into all of it. I just was so happy when that season of Mandalorian came around and it was Ahsoka and all the Darksaber references. Just like, I felt like, oh, that's really validating to have actually checked in on all that. Bo-Katan's
reveal was
Yeah.
honestly one of the greatest. The fact because it wasn't obviously like Ahsoka was a known thing. Like
of course.
with Dave Filoni working on it as well, it was like it's gonna happen. But Bo-Katan was so left field that no one expected it to be the case, and it was like, oh my Christ!
I just remember that. Like
the Ahsoka episode. Sorry, go on.
No, go on, man. No, after you.
the Ahsoka. What you did with Clone Wars, like watching all of Clone Wars to lead up to Mando season 2. I did with the Ahsoka episode, so the week before, or in between. So there's the episode where Bo-Katan's like, oh, go and see Ahsoka, and then the next week's the Ahsoka episode. And that week, I watched all of Star Wars Rebels. For the second.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
watched most of it for the first time, and then also read the Ahsoka book. In that walk, because it was lockdown, so that's all I did every day. 2
weeks, wasn't it? I thought it was, because this was the whole thing with Mandalorian that I didn't like, is that, especially with season 2, half the episodes were like brilliant and very fan servicey, but overall pretty enjoyable, and the other half were filler.
I think those two were back to back. I vaguely
remember it being like they had the Bo-Katan episode, because episode 1 was the one on Tatooine, and then they had episode 2, which was like the spider planet, and then transporting the fish people. They finished transporting the fish people in episode 3, and then the whole Bo-Katan thing happened, and the Darksaber and what have you. And then Ahsoka was name dropped. And then I think the next week was the one where they went back to that planet with that right-wing Trump supporter who's now been kicked off Star Wars, and Carl Weathers, who's sadly just passed away.
That's true, yeah.
Who they did like a sort of one where it was like a cloning factory or something. And then
there's only one way to find out.
Was the Jedi, which is
pull up the logs.
Ahsoka.
So
I think the Jedi was episode 4.
Oh yeah, you are right. So episode 3, chapter 3 was the Heiress. The Mandalorian braves high seas and meets unexpected allies.
Yeah.
Chapter 12 was the Siege. The Mandalorian rejoins old allies for a new mission.
Yeah.
And then chapter 5 was the Jedi. So I think after chapter 12, so episode 4, they name dropped that the next episode was going to be called The Jedi.
Right.
And that's when I went, okay, what can I binge watch that is Ahsoka that I've not already seen?
Right. Yeah. Rebels.
Sorry, I watched all of Rebels and the book as well.
Because you hadn't seen Rebels at that point, had you? I had, because you got me to watch Clone Wars, I think.
Yeah,
I was like, I just went through Rebels as well, and you were like, oh, I haven't seen Rebels, and I'm like, you should, it's good.
I think I watched part of the first season when it first came out, but I just never watched the rest of it. And to be fair, it's incredible. It's great. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched it in a very quick amount of time, so...
Yeah, of course. It was same here. Like, I raced through it as well. Like, you sort of have to in a weird way. I think you need to watch Andor, though. I still can't believe that almost a year on from Star Wars Celebration, you still haven't watched Andor.
Do you know what's going to make me watch Andor?
Andor Season 2?
Yep.
Oh, you're such a knob. Just watch it. It's brilliant TV. 12 episodes, is it? 12 or 10?
8.
It's not 8. It's more than 8.
Let's find out. It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's
how many episodes is it? 10. 12, I was right. 12 episodes of incredible Star Wars drama.
I've seen the first 4 episodes. I watched the first 4 episodes then, but I watched them weekly and then just never continued.
To be fair,
I do so much with shows. I'll start watching it.
Yeah, people didn't really connect with... I think the thing with Andor is it got better and better and better. You have to just trust the process and stick with it. It's in 3 episode arcs as well. So the first 3 episodes are kind of the introduction to the show and kind of the base point for the whole series. And that's good, but I can remember rewatching that and being like, it's not as good. And then you got episode 4, 5, and 6 are another arc, which is like a heist, and that's brilliant. Like, absolutely just great. And then you think, oh, that's the limit of where it's going to go, because that story ends. And then you get... Maybe there's a... Yeah, I think episode 7 is sort of like in the middle. And then and then 8, 9, and 10, best. Just incredible, really, really good. Like, don't get me wrong, like some of the best Star Wars media you'll ever see, especially episode 10. Episode 10, One Way Out, incredible, incredible.
Made me laugh because we went to see the making of Andor at Star Wars Celebration, and I was like, "There, woo, yeah, woo."
And you didn't have a clue, did you? You were sort of
Not
like, yeah.
And they showed a trailer that basically showed everything from it as well. I was like, yeah.
But you don't remember half of that anyway.
Nah, not a chance.
So you can watch it now. And then episode 11 and 12, again, brilliant. It just steps up and up and up and up. And the monologues and the characters, and it's not a cameo fest. And then obviously series 2 is round the corner. And, you know...
I think that'll be incredible.
Good things
just leading to Rogue One as well.
Yeah.
I think that'll be incredible.
I'm very excited to see more about what happens in that and hear more about it. And it's been kept relatively secret other than some of the filming in Spain. So I'm excited to see where that leads and how it leads into Rogue One. But it's supposed to be quite close to Rogue One, isn't it? It's supposed to literally
go straight into it, yeah.
Which is great, and I love that.
Because I think what they're trying to do is you could watch the finale of Andor, then watch Rogue One, and then go literally straight through to New Hope all the way through.
Yeah, which is great.
Which would be amazing.
What a marathon that would be. But I think that's great because you look at Rogue One and you look at where Andor Series 1 ends, and not to spoil it for you, but obviously they're not at the rebellion hasn't been strictly formed yet. So we've got to see that in the next part. You know, we've got to see Yavin 4 get introduced at some point in Andor. We've got to see maybe even something like the Death Star brought up again at some point. And other characters who may be associated with that would be kind of cool as well. But I love the fact that it's not relying on cameos. It's not a series that relies on cameos, unlike other Star Wars shows out there.
I think they have confirmed that there's some people from Rogue One who are going to be in it. I could be chatting absolute shite, but
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. I think they kind of have to have a few.
You have to have
in it.
I think it just depends on whatever characters are relevant. Obviously, Mon Mothma's already in it.
Yeah,
I don't think Jyn Erso needs to be in it because that would be a bit of a pointless cameo because obviously she hadn't met any of the rebellion before that.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his name? Saw Gerrera's in Andor, season 1.
He's in everything. Saw Gerrera he somehow worms his way into every Star Wars project.
I don't mind Saw Gerrera as a character.
I'm just sick of seeing him.
He is in everything. I'll give you that.
He's in every single Star Wars. When I played through what's it called, Fallen Order. When I first played it 2 years ago, and he was in it, I was like, how? How are you in this?
Yeah, but I think it's good because he is like a rebel, isn't he? That's the whole thing.
It makes sense.
Extremist rebel.
It makes sense, but to me, it's also like to me. I sound like I'm pissed off with it. I'm not. It makes me laugh that he's it catches me off guard. That's why it makes me laugh because it catches me off guard every time.
Yeah.
Like when I'm not expecting him, he's there.
But the thing is, you need to remember at this point, Rogue One, right, was probably. I think it actually was the second ever appearance of the character. Rogue One was the adaptation of him into this sort of figure that we see now. Right, Clone Wars, right, was the introduction of Saw Gerrera as a young lad and looked nothing like Forrest Whitaker. It was only when he was in Rogue One that they then did him in Rebels to coincide with it, and then obviously appeared in the games, and then appeared in Andor. But Andor is a direct follow-in to Saw Gerrera, so I can kind of forgive it because he's an important character in Rogue One who, coincidentally, is, I would say, one of the more underused characters who was sort of introduced and killed off very quickly. I think actually did need a bit more backstory, and I'd be interested to see how they incorporate him into Andor's sort of stuff going forward.
Maybe I think he's in everything, he's just not.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just completely...
I'll tell you who is in everything. Palpatine.
Yeah, but that's good, though.
I love him, though. That. Yeah, exactly. I just sometimes do my little rounds every now and then. I'll go on YouTube and I'll just be like, Emperor Palpatine compilation. And those videos keep getting longer and longer every year, and I'm here for it. I love that it's Ian McDiarmid as well. He's come back and he's doing it, you know.
Every single scene that he's ever been in.
I'm just glad that Rise of Skywalker isn't the last thing he did as part of the Star Wars universe. Because as good as that would have been to an extent, I mean, he's great in that film, don't get me wrong. Like, the lines of dialogue in that film, like, nothing can stop the return of the Sith. And then,
he's absolutely incredible as the character. He's born to play that character.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah. But then appearing in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That was so good.
Oh, man. That's a great
Especially
scene.
on Invader's Castle as well, in the hologram.
Vader's Castle hologram looked like he did in the original trilogy as well, not the weird, like stung by a wasp makeup approach from episode 3. It was very like subtle old man kind of vibes. I have to do less and less makeup on Ian McDiarmid these days, don't I suppose?
Yeah, that's true. I'll take Admiral Palpatine in everything.
And Bad Batch. I mean, he's in Bad Batch season 2.
That makes so much sense.
You haven't seen
when that came out in the trailer. That was so good. I've seen the first 3 episodes.
Of season 1, bro. Of season 1.
No. I've seen all season. Hang on. Whoa.
I thought you said season 1. Oh, I thought you said you'd seen the first 2
Whoa.
episodes of season 1.
Whoa, don't put disrespect on my name, okay? I've seen all of season 1 of Bad Batch. It took me a while, but I've seen it.
Yeah. So you've seen the whole Camino thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was what made me go. Like the ending of Bad Batch, where they go to.
So you got stuck on season 2 of Bad Batch.
No, so I
That's
watched.
better.
So I got through Bad Batch season 1. I got up to when Hera's in it, and then again, just never caught. Like literally watched it weekly, never finished it.
Yeah, I was the same. I waited because I got sick of waiting a week for 20-minute episodes, which were like.
And then I binge watched all 4 episodes in one go to finish it. Yeah. The ending was class, and that's what made because the theories and stuff that I had about it, and I can't remember what the mountain's called. This was like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I can't remember what it's called in Legends. Anyway, and then all the clone and stuff was happening, and then season 2 came out, and I watched the first because I think when I started watching it, the first 4 episodes were out. And I had them downloaded for a plane journey, and I watched the first 3 and then fell asleep and then just literally never continued it.
Oh man, season 2's better as well. I think season 2's great.
I've heard.
Like it's
I've heard everyone says better.
Brilliant.
I've heard the endings, and I know the ending. Plan 99, like shit like that. Yeah, it's it's one of those. I will get through it.
There's a lot in there, and obviously it's worth it for the Palpatine scene alone. That episode arc is just right out of the Clone Wars, and then Ian McDiarmid showing up as Palpatine for the new dialogue. Master manipulator, and I absolutely love it. I love
even the clone and stuff. Yeah,
and he's in season 3 as well.
Yeah,
which is great. Can't wait to see more Palpatine. I think I'm hoping they take the right lesson from it and don't overdo it. They just a little bit. That's all we need. A little bit.
I look forward to see how they end Bad Batch. Season 3 is the final season, isn't it?
It needs to end with Rex going to that planet that we see him on in Rebels, really.
Yeah, true.
And meeting up with the other 2 clones that he's sort of lingering with.
Yeah,
because. By this point, he sort of should be heading over there. This is based obviously right after episode 3, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. I feel like the rebels from the Bad Batch, the clones from the Bad Batch need to retire or die, basically.
Yeah.
And something needs to happen that's interesting with Omega. You forget about Omega, that she's supposed to be like Boba Fett's sister, basically.
Yeah.
She's like the female clone of Jango Fett, which is pretty cool. And they haven't really done anything with that, so I'd be interested to see where that goes. But I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm fascinated by it. I love the fact that we're getting Asajj Ventress as well,
and the yellow lightsaber.
Which Cooper's going to hate, of course, because obviously whenever he sees a yellow lightsaber without it being a Jedi Temple Guard lightsaber, he kicks up a fuss.
I will stay on record right now. Rey's, to me, doesn't make any sense. Asajj Ventress is already canon and already written about it. She actually gets it.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure she gets it from. It's either the main temple, the main Jedi temple, or it collapsed one while she finds it. But it's because I think some of the stories they're going to do in it are already done in books.
So Dark Disciple is what you're referring to, I think.
Yes, that's what it is.
Which is apparently, well, people are theorising that it's going to be brought into live action, which would mean her mentor...
Is Dark Disciple got what's his name on the front? I can't remember his name.
Quinlan Vos.
Quinlan Vos, because Quinlan Vos...
was name-dropped in Obi-Wan.
Name-dropped in Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Quinlan Vos being Jedi turned dark side turned back to good, I'm pretty sure, if I remember
Is that
correctly.
correct? Is he in any other Star Wars media?
He
is in Clone Wars.
He's in Clone Wars.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to see him back.
She has a yellow lightsaber. Yeah, 100%.
So we'll see. I mean, he's been name dropped in Obi-Wan. I have a feeling they'll probably do Quinlan Vos. Maybe the Bad Batch are responsible for setting up the path.
That would be cool. That would be very, very, very cool.
I mean, it sort of lines up in terms of eras, kind of. It has to start at some point. I like the idea of that being... I think that's one of the best additions to Star Wars canon in a while. I didn't like it really in Obi-Wan. I loved it in Jedi Survivor, though.
Yeah, it was cool.
Those games
having it,
are the best inclusions into canon, I think, in terms of interconnectivity. It makes so much sense, and I love it.
I've not played the second one yet. My PC wasn't good enough to run it. I can play it now, but I only played the first one. I
Bring
played the
your
first one.
Xbox, man.
I don't have a new Xbox. I actually
Do you not?
old one. No, I've only got
shit.
an old one.
Oh, fair enough then. Get a better PC.
Because I only played
Skill issue.
Fallen Order like 2 years ago, if that. I played it in first year at uni. It's a good game.
Fallen Order's really good. Survivor, I was genuinely very impressed with. It's the one that I haven't. Thing is, that's the thing. Fallen Order, I revisited quite a lot to just sort of play it, even though I'd 100% completed it basically, just to sort of mess about and kill stormtroopers. Survivor, I haven't revisited that much, which is sad.
That's fair, yeah.
It is sad though. I would like to revisit it, and I would like to give it a crack again at some point. But I finished the story. I just never did all the side quests and stuff, which is weird because I think a better game. It's so much bigger and better, and a much better Star Wars game. And also the introductions into canon, I love it. I love the use of planets. I would have liked another familiar planet, but we got Jeddah, which is interesting.
Yeah, the Jeddah thing was really a really good idea.
I don't know what you've seen from it. I've just seen the whole.
I've saw everything day one. Like,
there's a fight between Seer and Vader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is just incredible. Like,
good fight, yeah.
What a great Star Wars battle! Like a classic lightsaber fight there. And I thought that was brilliant, a great inclusion, and obviously using stuff like the path and stuff and incorporating these elements into canon, it just makes you feel that element of interconnectivity, which I love about Star Wars. It's the biggest selling point for me. And I don't know whether that's a hot take, but for me, it's not the characters and the explosions and the gunfire and the politics. It's genuinely the interconnectivity of the story. It's probably one of the biggest stories I think ever seen in fiction in terms of all the intricate details and storylines and ideas that are that they co-align. Yeah, there's contradictions here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent. And that's why I'm excited about stuff like, obviously, I didn't really like Mandalorian Series 3. That's not a hot take. But like, and I wasn't keen on Ahsoka much either. But we'll not get into that because that's a whole conversation for another day.
That's a whole other episode.
Look, it's not bad. It could have been better. It could have been better. And I think
I hear you. I disagree.
I don't think
I politely disagree.
As time goes on, maybe I'll enjoy it, but I think these things need to sort of ease back into either better storytelling or more smashy, blowy up kind of adventure kind of thing, because it's sort of sitting in the middle at the moment, and it's kind of just a mix between cool stuff but not explored well enough or boring. And I'm kind of like teetering between that with all the newer stuff. So I'm hoping that they'll ease it in. The most exciting parts, really, I mean, obviously I say it when I first watched Mandalorian Series 2, right? Obviously Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, Luke Skywalker. Amazing, right? Actually, when I think about it, that daft filler episode where they hint towards, like, the cloning, and you hear a little bit of Snoke's theme, and you get a little bit of Kylo Ren's theme, I'm like, okay. Like, you know, how the prequels were kind of shit on until Clone Wars came about, and Dave Filoni kind of picked up the pieces and made it feel better, picked up the continuity, really drew a lot of lines through it and kind of had a lot of creative freedom in that. I'm hoping we're going to get that between episode 6 and episode 7. I want to see, like, I don't really like The Force Awakens that much. That's no secret. I don't love that film. I think it's okay. I think it's quite unoriginal, but I loved it at the time. But the iconography of it, I think the First Order is very derivative of the Empire. It's very much the same thing. And on paper, as films, I can't credit them with having a really great, intricate idea. But I'll be damned if Dave Filoni isn't going to do something about that. Because as soon as, like, we have this Heir to the Empire film, or this Mandalorian film, Mandalorian and Grogu film, which is going to happen, like, once you bring into stuff like, again, like Thrawn and all that sort of thing, like Return of the Empire, the creation of the First Order, Snoke appearing potentially again, which probably will happen, knowing Andy Serkis's commitment with Star Wars anyway, coming back to play another character. Mm-hmm. The rise of the First Order. The first time we see those First Order stormtroopers, the first time we start to see we're probably going to go back to that planet as well. I mean, I can't remember. You're going to have to remind me here.
Wait, which one are you talking about? Sorry.
Starkiller Base, which was previously a Jedi thing, wasn't it?
Oh my god, it was...
Ilum. I've got it.
Because it's in First Order. It's in Fallen Order.
Fallen Order.
That's where he builds the lightsaber.
Yes. And I'd love to see something more.
See, I love that.
Let's delve into that, and it's a great connection. But I think let's explore that as well. Let's do it. Let's bridge the gap. Like, I want to be. I know this sounds daft, and I know some things should be left up to the mystery of just your imagination, and some things definitely. But I think Star Wars has that beautiful interconnectivity through it, where the thing that excites me the most is somehow bridging Episode 6 to Episode 7. Now, I don't think I want to see CGI faces of Leia and Han and Luke. I don't, really. However, I do want to see those characters again, and I do want to see some That might be a hot take. I know some people are like, we don't need them. We just rely on new characters. Cool. But I'm really thinking about, like, do you ever play Star Wars Battlefront 2's campaign?
No word of a lie. This was exactly what I was about to reference.
Yeah.
Like, no word of a lie. Yeah, because I know exactly what you're going to say. It's exactly how I feel.
It's like a few years after, and it sort of follows off episode 6, and it's like Han and Chewie are doing their own thing. Han's got a beard now. Leia's like liberating Naboo, and Luke's off doing his own thing. And it's kind of like, this feels like a direct continuation of episode 6 and those versions of the characters, whilst also setting up for the places we see these characters in by the time The Force Awakens comes around.
The one thing I liked about Battlefront 2's campaign was the DLC they did for it, where
it's like Starkiller Base,
where you find out how the
plans for Starkiller Base.
No, it's not. It's the plans for the dreadnoughts. It's how to destroy the dreadnoughts that they get the plans for. Yeah, because it leads into the start of Last Jedi.
Oh yes,
it's the Last Jedi DLC. You know the dreadnoughts, the massive, essentially the massive ships,
the ones that pull like decimates at the beginning, like drops bombers on.
Is Iden Versio? Is that her name?
Yeah, Iden
Versio.
Yeah, that's right.
She infiltrates First Order like base essentially and gets the plans like where the weak points are on the dreadnoughts, and that's why Poe and everyone at the start of Last Jedi know how to destroy the dreadnoughts.
I love this. Simply because, just take a step back for a second, Cooper, and just think about the general audiences that have tuned into our nice little Star Wars episode today.
That's true, yeah.
We're talking about a video game campaign from like 2016.
About a DLC 2016.
A fictional character blowing up a fictional ship in the first opening 5 minutes of a film, and how there's an entire backstory to that. And that's great. I love that, because we are both Star Wars fans, and we both can waffle about this. And this sort of stuff's going to come up again in the future. But I don't know, it's interesting, isn't it? I think how it stays in culture so much. But for me, like, Star Wars excitement comes with that interconnectivity. I'm not bothered about seeing... look, I'm interested to see where The Mandalorian and Grogu goes, right? I am getting a bit tired of these characters, though. I as much as I hate to admit it, like, they were great at the beginning of The Mandalorian, but at the minute they just feel they're not doing anything interesting with those characters. And I would almost rather see them delve into stuff like, the rebirth of the Empire. I love the secret meeting between Moff Gideon and the other Imperial remnants.
When they name dropped Thrawn as well.
Oh, that was tasty.
That was so good.
I love that. And then obviously we get Thrawn in Ahsoka.
Yeah. That's for a different episode though. Anyway, but yeah, because I feel like Rise of Skywalker came out and it was like, okay. I'm not a huge fan of it.
We've talked about this to the nth degree on other things, but we can kind of summarise our thoughts here.
It has its cool points, it has its bad points, it has its incorrect continuity, it has its issues. But
as a brainless Star Wars film, I can turn my brain off as a fan and enjoy the flashing colours and lights and nostalgia. Absolutely.
I can't.
But I can enjoy that aspect of it. But as a Star Wars fan who likes, and also a film fan who just likes good storytelling, I can't give it any credit.
I can't. Yeah. I'm sitting here in rage right now. Honestly, the one thing I hold on a Rise of Skywalker is we saw it at midnight, and that was a great experience.
Yeah,
seeing the midnight release, that was good. True. But what you're saying, the filler episode of Mandalorian season 2, where you learn about the cloning and stuff. That's what made me kind of go, oh my god, they're actually going to attempt to do all this stuff. And then with Bad Batch as well, with whatever the mountain's called, I can't for the life of me remember what the name is at the end of season 1. You're going to Google this now, aren't you?
I'm going to, keep talking.
It's Mount something. And in Legends, it being a cloning facility and with the Kaminoans and stuff like that. That one, Mount Tant. I knew it was Mount T, I couldn't remember. Mount Tantus. Yep. It made me start to go, they're actually going to fix... One of the biggest things from Rise of Skywalker is that Palpatine's in it and he's a clone, but it's not said in the movie. It's said in the fucking extra novel that they release afterwards. Whatever it is.
The visual dictionary.
That one, the visual dictionary, whatever the fuck you want to talk about. The visual dictionary also fucking canonizes Darth Revan and all that shit like that. So it was the fucking visual dictionary might be the only good thing to come out of Rise of Skywalker at this rate. Like,
oh yeah, definitely in terms of canon stuff.
But this complete flow, like throwaway. This the one throwaway line that somehow Palpatine has returned. They are putting, I guarantee you, 10 to 15 years of work into this to fix this one line.
Yeah,
and I think
that's great.
What happened with the prequels and all the stuff they've done with it, whether it's Clone Wars, whether it's Tales of the Jedi now, whether it's the games, or whether it's the sort of Rebels, all this kind of stuff that they built around it, I fucking love the prequels. And I love Revenge of the Sith. I love that Order 66. I love seeing where everyone was during Order 66. I love seeing what happened to characters after Order 66. And this is what I think it's going to be.
I have a hot take about that, though.
Oh, no.
I am a bit sick of saying Order 66 now. I
love it.
No, don't get me wrong. I think it's cool. But, like, I'm really starting to get to a point where I'm like, okay, it loses its dramatic weight when you're using it consistently as sort of a cheap story point where you can just go, oh my god, look at this Jedi who's now being shot at by clone troopers. Yes, obviously it was a big galaxy-wide thing, I know that, but it just gets a little bit boring when we keep using it as a cheap story point. I don't mind it, but then again, we see it all the time. In the last few live-action Star Wars projects we've seen it.
My biggest issue with Order 66 now is we're getting to a point where it's getting... the amount of Jedi that survived is getting questionably large.
It lessens the impact of that film when you realise that how many Jedi survived it. But the thing is, it's about the years after, isn't it? About the Jedi Hunters, you have the Inquisitors. It's not about surviving that. It's about surviving to the point of New Hope, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
That's where you need Jedi to stop existing past.
Yeah.
I would love to see like Cal Kestis. Is that it in live action?
You've made me question. Kestis, yeah, it is. You've made me question it now.
But I want to see him in live action. But do I think it should be before or after the original trilogy? I think it should be before. I think it should have something based in that. I don't want to see him in the Mandalorian universe, but we probably fucking will.
It will be, yeah.
I know, but I don't want to see that. I want him to be dead by this point. Honestly, I think it lessens the impact. Like, he is way too powerful in the video games, really.
Isn't he in a different galaxy at the end of Fallen Survivor?
He is.
So they've basically just done what Ahsoka did. When you just realised that. It's like, wait, hang on.
Oh, hang on, Ahsoka's not original. Nice.
Fuck off.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm going to pull up this spreadsheet. We're pulling this Ahsoka episode higher because there's no way we're going to get through.
I actually had six
episodes.
I've had like a few Star Wars related podcast episode ideas off the back of this one, just talking shite. Ahsoka can stay a little bit distant. We don't want to make this a Star Wars podcast. We'll just record it sooner.
Yeah, we'll just record sooner anyway. But yeah, I think it's. I would like to see, and I think it's inevitable, and I think it's a ticking time bomb till we see Cal Kestis in live action.
That's true. And
especially with being Cameron Monaghan, I think it's
he's great.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen. No matter what they'll do.
It looks exactly like him. I'd love to see it. To
be completely honest, I'd be more excited. I actually want to see BB-8, not fucking BB-8. Oh my god. BD1, not BB-8, BD1.
Oh god, I almost just hung up the call there.
BD1 in live action, I think it'd be very cute to do like a good bit of BD1. But I think it'd be cool. The thing that would be interesting about Cal Kestis is what fucking lightsaber form they're big for him to have in canon.
Yeah,
because it's like, well,
it's whatever's on the cover in it. Except the lightsaber's going to be the Cal Kestis.
It's the single, isn't it? It's the single's the canon. What he uses. If you actually have to take one canon story, it's the one lightsaber.
Yeah, you could always just write a reason for it, like he had to use someone else's lightsaber or something, or he had to just like temporarily, just so you've got the iconography of having in there. But you're right, that's always the same with video game characters. I'll be interested to see what happens with the new one as well. There's a new Star Wars game coming out soon.
Oh god, yeah, Outlaws,
Outlanders, which looks good.
Yeah. It's probably open world, so it should be quite good. Yeah, about like rogues and. Syndicates and stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty good. Most anticipated game, I think it was.
I'm glad to have another Star Wars game that's not a Jedi focused one. I quite like it not being, because it's harder to get right. I think.
Yeah.
Where it can be a smuggler, you can just be really good at shooting a gun and you're not overpowered really. But as soon as you're a Jedi and you're able to do some of the things you can do in Jedi Survivor, it's like, oh my god, okay, let's not. But
Cal Kestis is very strong now. It's very, very, very strong. That was the other thing as well. Like I think a lot of, with you saying like a lot of the stories are crossing over now. I think all the Night Sister stuff in Fallen Order is not a coincidence, and Fallen Survivor is not a coincidence. Especially after how Ahsoka ends with.
I was excited with that. Honestly, yeah. Oh my god, if we get to see Dathomir in live action,
and
please.
I said it for a while. I had a feeling that Ahsoka or one of the upcoming shows was going to essentially revive the Night Sisters. And I don't know how they're going to play a massive part, but I have a feeling the Night Sisters are going to play a huge part in something to do with the First Order or something to do with the revival
like an
of
army of the undead or something. I forgot the vibe they were sort of going for with going to Dathomir again. But are they going to revive? I think they're just going to revive loads of fucking Dathomirian men and make it just like, look, they look like Darth Maul, and that's close enough.
I don't know, because
I hope that's not what they do, but I kind of feel like that might be what they do.
Yeah, for me, having Miriam in Fallen Order and Fallen Survivor was not a coincidence. Like,
no,
it's cool having a Night Sister, and it's cool seeing the
I don't think it's
magic and the Night Sister magic.
Coincidence. I think if you think about when that game came out, around the time that game was in development before like Mando had dropped and everything. I don't think they planned that far ahead, and I genuinely think that actually that's just, I give credit to the writing team on those games for being so in touch with Star Wars canon to make a game what brings in a Night Sister and has like Dathomir as a visitable planet. I think there's a lot of elements in those games which are brilliant, like the Inquisitors and stuff. And for people like me who hadn't watched Rebels or Clone Wars at the time, there was a lot of stuff that was very new to me, and I almost had like a reverse effect. That I played that game, I got so used to the characters in that universe being in Star Wars that when I went to watch Clone Wars and I saw Dathomir and I saw the Night Sisters and then I saw the Inquisitors, I was like, oh my god, I know what these are. I get this now. This makes sense, and this is really cool, and it's more satisfying, and I love that. In the same way that I played Battlefront 2, and like you hear D. Bradley Baker calling the droids clankers and stuff, and you get that sort of feeling of like, oh my god, this is Clone Wars the video game, and I never realised.
It's also the fact that like when you play Fallen Order after watching Clone Wars and learning about what happened to the Night Sisters and stuff like that, it's referenced very heavily in a lot of the lore stuff you can find on the planet. And I think the Night Sisters being this thing where General Grievous just goes in and massacres all of them, they're such a throwaway race. Like, it's such a shame. Like, they're so cool. It's such a great concept that I'm very happy that we now have Night Sisters again, like from this different universe or whatever it is, galaxy now. I'm quite happy that they've done it and brought it back, and I'm interested, but I think I'm interested to that. I'm interested to like the Mortis gods and stuff. Like I'm keen to see how they explore stuff going forward. One thing I wanted to throw your way, Cooper. All right, and this is putting you on the spot here. I think very much putting you on the spot. I'm going to go back a little bit to find it, but I think as a sort of first Star Wars podcast episode that we're doing on here, I think it would be good if we both went through our ranking of worst to best Star Wars films. Okay.
From 12th to 1st.
Oh, wait, hang on. Are you doing all of them? Wait.
I'm thinking, we could do the main 9 if you want.
What are the movies? Rogue One, Han Solo.
Clone Wars movie.
The original one.
Clone Wars movie, yeah. The only Clone Wars movie.
Is there 2 Clone Wars movies?
Nah, just the one, mate.
It's just the one with the really shitty animations.
Yeah, because it's the like pilot of the show, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one where they give like 12-year-old Ahsoka an upskirt shot in like the beginning of the film, which is just insane.
Wait, am I thinking of that one? I can't remember.
Okay, maybe let's not. Maybe do the main 9 then if you want.
Yeah, do main 9. Do main 9 because I can definitely do main 9.
So in 9th place, what would be your like worst Star Wars film? Do you think?
Attack of the Clones.
I'm in agreement. Attack of the Clones is in my 9th as well. It's not a great film. It's good to an extent, but it's not great. Objectively, as a film, it's quite bad. I think with improved CGI, it would be great, though. I think if Disney put money into that, it would be great, but I don't think they will. And I'd love them to. I'd love a remaster of those, and like a special edition almost of the prequels to upgrade the CGI to a modern-day standard, because it would look great. It would look excellent. You just take the green screen elements, upscale them, give us some new effects. It would look great. Really, really good. Clone Wars and Bad Batch look better quality than Episode 2 looks now. In 8th place...
I'm just currently typing some of them out because I'm going to end up forgetting what I've said and what I haven't said.
Okay.
My 8th place I put as Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, shame. We're 2 for 2 so far, yeah. Rise of Skywalker is my 8th as well. Now, a lot of people like Rise of Skywalker, and I can understand to an extent. I think it just, for me, is a disappointing end to the whole saga. And I kind of wish, like, I think you hear so much about Duel of the Fates, like what could have been. I would have absolutely loved to see that. And I think that's something I would just have just adored. I feel like we missed out by having something that felt more filler and more just bringing Palpatine back for nostalgia's sake and just kind of a weird ending to something that just didn't feel right for the trilogy. And, it's okay, but it's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other points? I mean, we've kind of talked about Rise of Skywalker anyway.
We'll be here for another fucking podcast episode if I start. So it's just, do you know what? For the sequels in general, I love the characters. Rey, genuinely, honestly, one of my favorite characters. I know she's OP as anything. I'd quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
Rey Skywalker, I don't really have an issue with.
No.
As much as a meme, the yellow lightsaber, I don't really have an issue with. It's cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was it's pioneered for us to get different colored lightsabers, so I'll take it. Kylo Ren, I really like. Adam Driver, I really like.
Oh, he's great. Yeah. Easy.
I just don't like the direction of the movie.
I'm excited. I'm excited now, though, that is not now the end of the saga, and we're going to be getting a follow-up film because that's good to me.
The announcement of the Rey when the Rey movie got, honestly, out of all the announcements at Star Celebration, the Rey movie is the one that gets me the most excited.
I'm excited to see
and
what
that's
going to be.
Filoni's movie and everything.
Yeah, seriously,
because it'd be nice to see where it goes.
There's something unique about that which is exciting to me. I find.
Yeah.
And then in 7th place,
I have Phantom Menace.
Oh man, we're 3 for 3.
Are we?
Yeah, I don't think that's that hard to guess, though. I think we're going to start disagreeing from this point onwards.
This is where we start disagreeing.
As it stands, I think, it's quite acceptable to say that those 3 are probably the worst 3 Star Wars films. Maybe. Phantom Menace is fine. We've talked about Phantom Menace. The last half an hour is brilliant. The pod racing is brilliant. Some of it is really, really good and really excellent, but most of it is relatively dull and the CGI hasn't aged particularly well. But I don't think it's that bad. People make it out to be awful. Attack of the Clones is pretty poor, but Phantom Menace is okay. Like, Liam Neeson's great. Darth Maul's cool. Movie. Palpatine's great. The politics is, yes, a bit boring, but it sets up the world.
I was going to say, it sets up a lot of stuff later on as well, which I do take into account.
Yeah. Cool. And then, what we are, so...
Number 6.
6. Shall I say mine?
I don't know what mine's going to be.
Oh, really?
I'm torn.
It's not going to be what I say, and I know it.
What are you going to say?
You, because I'm going to say Force Awakens.
My Force Awakens is very high up.
Yeah, as it would be. You fickle little git. Star Wars Force Awakens, to me, is just very derivative of New Hope. I loved it when it came out. I really did. It reignited my love for Star Wars, my excitement about the franchise. I absolutely adore it. I think it's a great film in that respect. And it's exciting. It's a great watch. But every time I rewatch it, I can't help but feel like it's less and less original every time. I just feel like it fills me with disappointment because it didn't go anywhere. You know, a lot of the stuff about Finn being a Jedi, a lot of the story arcs that were set up in this film didn't really go anywhere. And I think it falls apart because of it. I love the characters, I love the introductions. I think there's a lot of positives about this, and I think given a rewatch now, I might be a little bit more generous towards it, probably a bit less cynical. But I think for me, it's one of those ones. And say why you like it, but I actually know. Talk about whatever your film is. What's your slot? We'll get to Force Awakens when you like it.
I'm putting Empire at number 6. Now I know.
What?
No, let me.
Sorry.
Let me.
Out of the 9 mainline Star Wars films, you're telling me that Empire Strikes Back is 6th place.
Let me
not even in the top half.
Let me cook. Okay. I think 6, 5, and 4 are very, very, very close, and that's why I'm sitting here having a crisis on how I'm going to put them.
Right.
Empire, as a movie, I think is the best out of all of them. As a Star Wars movie, because it's different.
Give over.
I don't. It's not the best Star Wars movie. It's a very good movie, but this is so hard.
You said it now. You've put Empire Strikes Back as 6th place.
Yeah, and then for number 5, I'm putting New Hope. I'm putting New Hope above Empire.
Oh man,
because I put a New Hope over Empire because it's like, for me, it's like this.
Not even that for me. It's not even that for me. It's the fact that you put Return of the Jedi above both of them. That's really... Because my number 5 is Return of the Jedi.
To be fair, I might have to reconsider this list.
You might have to.
This genuinely might actually. To be fair,
this is an old list for me as well. To be fair, but I'm going with it. Return of the Jedi, I think, is a great film to an extent. It's a good Star Wars film. It's a lot of fun. It's action adventure, but it's not as good as the other two, in my opinion. I think A New Hope is. We'll get to A New Hope or Star Wars when I get to it in my list, and I'll give my opinions on it. But for the meantime, Return of the Jedi is fine. Not as good as the other original trilogy films. It works as a story. It's entertaining. It's a good end to the story arc that was set up in the beginning and throughout. I think it works and it's solid, but it's not as good as the other two. I think that's quite commonly It's not really a hot take, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
What's your number 4?
Return of the Jedi.
Okay. Yeah.
This is where my list changes, because Return of the Jedi has been number 3 for a very, very, very long time.
Wow.
And you know that. I very much like Return of the Jedi.
What's your thoughts on Return of the Jedi then?
Opening scene is iconic. In Jabba's palace, iconic. Luke, black and green, goated.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Goated. Yeah, I agree.
Palpatine.
Yes, can't
Clear.
go wrong with Palpatine. Yeah,
Can't
absolutely.
go wrong.
Absolutely.
Ending, incredible. And to be fair, it's very nostalgic. Lego games play a very big part in this.
Yeah.
The Lego game Missions were always very sick, I can't lie. What have you got for number 4?
I don't know if you're going to agree with this to some extent. I think I just couldn't put this any higher. But at the minute, I mean, this is my list from a few years ago, bear in mind. And I kind of stand by some of it, maybe not all of it, but as it stands, episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. That's not that bad. 4th place for Revenge of the Sith. Okay, in the opposite of The Empire Strikes
Our
Back.
top 3s are
The Empire Strikes Back, like, as you saying is a great film, not a great Star Wars film. Horrendously disagree with you on that one. But I think...
No, hang on. It's if you take every Star Wars movie as a standalone movie, you take nothing Star Wars into account.
Yeah, it's the
Empire
best.
is the best.
Yeah.
Empire's still a very good Star Wars movie. I just think there's better Star Wars movies. Or there's Star Wars
You
movies
think
I
there's
prefer.
5 better Star Wars
Star Wars
mainline movies?
I'm going to say Star Wars movies I prefer. Going to change.
Okay, good. That's good. That's clever. Because it sort of resolves you from... Yeah. Episode 3 is not a good film, but it's an excellent Star Wars film. It's a go-to rewatchable Star Wars film that is so fun and is an absolute joyride. We've watched it many times, the two of us. I do love it. It is incredible, and I do rate rewatchability very highly when it comes to films. I think this is a very rewatchable film. I think it's very much a comfort film. It's nostalgic, and it's brilliant in that sense as a Star Wars film. But objectively, Cooper, it is not a good film.
I'm rating these as Star Wars movies, not movies.
I know, and me too,
This
but I have
list
to
would
be fair.
This list would be completely different if I
To be
took...
fair, I can't. I used to have that as... I used to have episode 3 as number 3. It's not anymore. I have a I mean... I don't know, actually, hang on.
Our 3 might be the same.
No, they're not. No, because 2 of my top 3 has already been mentioned by you, but I'm trying to work out how the other one has, because I've forgotten. I don't think we have.
The other one
mentioned
hasn't.
this. I'm surprised.
Because this is why you should be surprised.
I am surprised, because I thought you hated that film, but we'll get to it. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is The Last Jedi.
So is mine. What? Since when? You fucking hated Last Jedi. You said it was like not the weakest, but you said you preferred Force Awakens. Oh, you do. Force Awakens hasn't been mentioned yet, you dick. Oh, you sad fucker.
So,
Force Awakens is not your top 3.
for a long time, I had big issues with Last Jedi. I had big issues. But when we did the
not today,
podcast...
thanks.
Not today. When we did the podcast episode of a podcast a long time ago now and spoke about it, I was kind of like, maybe I've been too harsh on this movie. And, sorry, in the last year, I've rewatched this movie.
Oh.
And I very much enjoy this movie.
Yeah, because it's a
And
good
I did
film.
when it first came out. And it's
Yeah.
cinematically beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Which just, I know, this is after me saying Empire's movie, it's a Star Wars movie. It's incredible. It's,
I'll forgive
it's
your other sins
amazing.
for gassing up The Last Jedi, because
It's
it is
amazing.
a great film, and just because a few neckbeards online think it didn't do Luke Skywalker how they wanted to do it, I genuinely think Last Jedi is a brilliant film, and I think the biggest fault of the sequel trilogy is that they responded to the negative reaction of The Last Jedi and made Rise of Skywalker. I think if they continued going on that route, it would have been a much better trilogy, and I think people would appreciate it in years to come. People have such a fixation with characters like Luke Skywalker and have such a fixated idea of what he should be. I think this film spits in the face of that, and I think that's why it's brilliant. It doesn't just bring Luke Skywalker back and have a big lightsaber fight and bring down X-Wings and a Star Destroyer with the Force. It makes him a hermit. Is someone with real, tangible emotions. Now, you might think that's not in line with a character, but when you last saw the character, he was 19, 20, and there have been 20 years between then and now in terms of this universe, right? I am 22 now, right? Am I the same person I was when I was fucking born? No. Life hits.
True.
And it has for him as well, because he's a fucking icon in that world as well. And I think that's an important part of it. I think it tells a very tragic, real version of what Luke's story would have been. And a lot of fanboys and neckbeards and people will complain. And, there are some valid complaints out there. I don't think all of this film is brilliant. I don't think the Finn and Rose stuff is that interesting. And I don't think the conclusion could have been slightly better. But I love a lot of it. The standoff between Luke and Kylo Ren is excellent. That whole thing with the Force projection, I think, is brilliant. The death is brilliant. I think it's all very important and right. It hands over to a new generation. It's not about killing off all your favourite characters. It's what is dramatically right for these films, and I think this was a perfect interpretation of that.
I really enjoyed the Canto-Bite stuff when I rewatched it, but just to add to that, The Rise of Skywalker is a Star Wars movie. If you allowed Reddit to make a Star Wars movie, that's my bread and butter opinion of it. I realised upon us talking about it and reflections and rewatching stuff that all my issues with The Last Jedi were actually with The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Because originally I didn't like all the throwaway stuff, but I think if The Rise of Skywalker had followed through with it, it would have been seen as a hell of a lot better. It's a big leap from what The Force Awakens established. It's a brave choice, I'll give it that. But my issue with it is that The Rise of Skywalker doesn't follow through with it, and that shouldn't affect that film.
I agree. I think it's one of those things where, you're spot on. It's the follow through. I think Disney acted too promptly and had a knee-jerk reaction, and they shouldn't have. The negative reception to The Last Jedi, I don't think was that valid. The people get quite torn up about it and quite what their favorite characters should be and what they shouldn't be. And I think it's the fact of the matter is it's a filmmaker telling a story. The writer, the director, they have a choice on how they take the story, and it is signed off. Luke being a hermit and being sort of depressed and a loner and isolated, like Yoda was a choice that was in George Lucas's original treatment for a sequel trilogy. You can't complain that that's a direction that wasn't thought about. It was also something that was established by J.J. Abrams as well, and it was something followed up on by Rian Johnson. If they'd planned this trilogy better, maybe there would have been a better reason for it, and there would have been sort of thing, but I love the fact that they did that. I just hate the fact that they try and retcon it in Rise of Skywalker, and that's why I hate that film so much. Luke turning around as the Force Ghost in Rise of Skywalker in what looks like a bad wig, and going, oh, I ran because I was scared. It's like, no, that was literally the whole fucking point of Last Jedi. It wasn't about being scared, it was about this expectation about living up to that. It was so much more nuanced than that from a character perspective. He feel like he failed his friends and didn't turn his back on them, but didn't feel like getting involved would be the best case scenario for any of them. And I just, there's a lot of detail into that film that we could rant about for hours, and I'm not going to keep going. But yes, what's your number 2, Cooper?
Force Awakens.
No. Tell me why.
Force Awakens is what got me to this position today. Force Awakens is really the main reason why I'm such a Star Wars fan now.
That's valid.
Big given. Rey, I really like as a character.
Yeah.
You can say it's a carbon copy of A New Hope.
I don't think it's a carbon copy. I think it's just very derivative.
I don't care. I love it as a movie.
That's fine.
Actually, I don't. Generally, every time I look at the movie and I know how similar it is to New Hope, it never ruins it for me.
No.
Which is weird. But I love Rey. I love the final fight on Ilum on the Starkiller base is fucking incredible.
Yeah. Great.
It is incredible. The whole direction, I love the comedy aspect to it. I love Finn. Generally, and Han Solo being in it, their introduction with Chewie and stuff like that is beautiful. It's amazing. Great. And it's what, essentially, like I said, most of it is because of where I am today. And I just very like the direction that it took, and it felt like a nice refresh and a nice new beginning.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Which kind of was for me. So, what's your number 2?
Empire Strikes Back. It's one of the best. And
I do not judge you for putting it number 2. I fully understand why it's at number 2.
I don't think it's... Look, it's this is very much where it's personal opinion, and it's for Star Wars, for me, it's... I'll talk more about this in New Hope. Empire Strikes Back's a great film. Great Star Wars film. It should be number 1 if it wasn't for my other number 1 place, which I think is slightly better in terms of not maybe story, maybe not as a film, maybe not as a Star Wars film, but it's something that I just find more enjoyable and is so much more magical, and I'll explain that in a minute. But Empire Strikes Back is at number 2 for me. It's a great film. That's by no means an insult to it not being number 1. Nowhere near the insult that Cooper did it by putting it number 6. So I think it's valid there.
6, 5, and 4 need to be changed around. I'm going to come back in a few episodes' time when we talk about Star Wars, and I'm going to come up with an actual list.
Okay.
Because this was very... I would like to point out he's jumped this on me. Okay, this was on the fly.
I did.
1, 2, and 3. I'm having a crisis about 3 onwards. So this is I'll be back in a few episodes.
That's fine. What's your number 1 though?
Right, Revenge of the Sith. Easy.
Right, yeah,
Revenge of the Sith is. I absolutely adore that movie. I could watch that movie every day for a year and I would not be sick of it.
That's
All
true.
the characters in it, acting incredible. Script I think is incredible. Music incredible. Lightsaber fight, King incredible. Order 66, as I said earlier, it's one of my favorite time periods of Star Wars. I love the way it's done. S tier.
Yep.
Number 1. Chances are will never change.
For me, New Hope.
Yeah, go on. Yeah,
go on. Sorry, no. If you had something else to say about this,
and Revenge of the Sith keeps getting higher and higher purely because of every single thing they keep adding to it. All the different stuff that happens during it.
That's
and
fair.
when we watch the supercuts and stuff you can watch, just make it even
me
better.
and Cooper around Star Wars Celebration, we watched this 4-hour cut, which intertwined Revenge of the Sith in with the end of Clone Wars.
I've never been emotional watching Revenge of the Sith, but watching that supercut, I genuinely felt like actually sad, like tearing up at points, being like, "Oh my god," because you fully put it in perspective. Yeah,
it's excellent, really, really
there
good. My number 1's New Hope or Star Wars. I think there's something, and it simply comes. I can really summarize this quickly, which is a good idea given how long we've been recording. But for me, it's not about it being an amazing Star Wars film. It's not about it being an amazing film. It's the fact that it's the first. And it stands on its own 2 feet. I love the fact that I can watch this, and it's got this sort of isolated feel about it watching it now. When you see Tatooine, and you know this is the first time in cinema we've ever seen Tatooine. And I think that's incredible. I love that. And I love seeing all of these things and sort of imagining that this is the first time I'm ever seeing it. And I think, it's the only Star Wars film that works as itself. By itself without any other film. I genuinely think you could watch, because it's the first, you don't need any prior context, and you hear these things, these name drops of the Spice Mines of Kessel, you hear the Clone Wars, Jedi starfighters and pilots, and the ages, the Jedi Knights and the Order of the Jedi Knights, all these myths and religions that long gone to this old hermit in the sand. I think it's a magical film. I genuinely think it's one of the most magical films. It's a very bog standard story structure. The hero's journey, very well known in like writing and in terms of films, in terms of books. It's very play by numbers of a hero's journey, but it is, I think, brilliant because of that sort of magical wonder around it. I think it's genuinely, there's just something about it for me, and I think that's it. It's because it's so separate to everything else. It was made before anything else was in mind. It was going to be one film. That was always the intention of it, and it is so in itself perfect. But you watch it now, it's sort of like the only Star Wars film that feels quiet and isolated and magical, but also you can appreciate the connections that have been made over it. I love, again, like stuff like the Spice Mines of Kessel getting mentioned, which don't appear until like Clone Wars random episode number whatever, or solo Star Wars story. It's like, it's great. Like all these things have been pulled away from it, but at the core, it's a brilliant, magical little low budget film.
It just has like a charm about it, doesn't it? Yeah. Like the 1977, like it's very like
the music, Binary Sunset, Luke standing on there looking at the suns, like that is just to me what Star Wars is all about. You got all of it, and I love all of it. Don't get me wrong, but that to me, there's something so magical about sitting in the dark at midnight and watching New Hope. No one else around, just the music and the sounds and the visuals just wash over you, and you experience this film as if you're watching it for the first time. There is no feeling like it as a Star Wars fan, in my opinion. What I would do to go back and watch all of them for the first time again. Yeah. I think we've kind of covered Star Wars a little bit there. Yeah, just a little bit. I'm going to come back in a few episodes' time when we do like talk about Star Wars again, and I'm going to bring an actual list. Yeah. I'm going to actually have to sit and think about this, because the middle is where 6, 5, 4, and 3 could easily change. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Is it time, Cooper? It is time. It is time for Just News. Just News. Just News. It is my turn this week to find the news story. I'm excited. I found a corker. If I do say so myself. I'm very excited. From Tuesday, the 21st, 2016, or 21st of June, 2016, I should say. George, go on. Do you know what tragic event happened in 2016?
I think it was 2016.
Hang on. Oh, it's not the big man himself, Harambe, is it?
Oh my god, that's such a good guess. Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm so dangerously ingrained in internet culture. I need to touch grass.
May 28th, 2016.
Yeah.
So I found an article relating to it.
Oh my god, really? And it's
After the tragic death of Harambe at Cincinnati Zoo, it's easy to forget about the story of the escape artist, Ken Allen. They shoot you in the wild, they shoot you in the zoo. It's hard being an ape in 2016, but, says Joe Vicks, it wasn't always so tough.
what? Sorry,
Last month-
what's going on here, Cooper? What are you talking about?
Let me continue the article and you'll find out. Last month, headlines mourned the death of Harambe, the gorilla at Cincinnati Zoo, shot to death when he started dragging around a 3-year-old boy who had fallen into his enclosure.
Right, yeah. Rest in peace,
Contrast
King.
that to the 13th of June 1985, when a 250-pound orangutan named Ken Allen climbed up his retaining wall at San Diego Zoo and escaped his pen.
Hang on,
walked down-
hang on. Just pause there. Sorry, the orangutan, 250-pound orangutan named
Ken Allen.
Ken Allen
Yep.
climbed out and escaped his pen. Okay, brilliant.
He walked down a public path towards crowds of tourists, stopping to look at the other animals as if he was a visitor, before being led back to his cage. It would not be the last time he escaped,
Oh,
but
God.
instead of a PR disaster, for a brief time in San Diego, Ken Allen became a folk hero.
Oh my God.
After the first escape, zoo officials ramped up the security in his pen. An open area with a jungle gym made of utility poles and a large moat at the back.
Oh, God,
Behind
no.
the moat,
Hang on.
Behind the moat was a massive wall which they extended 4 feet, but it wasn't enough to contain Ken Allen.
Oh God, no! I was just going to point out, as a Geordie, there's only one moat that I know of, and I don't think I can't hear that word. You see, without getting a click in my head.
A few weeks later, in July, he managed to climb the wall again. This time, he was a bit more irritable. Zookeepers found him in front of another ape enclosure, tossing rocks at Otis, a fellow orangutan, and a former penmate who, according to the Los Angeles Times, was not known to be amiable, amiable.
We can't speak English.
The escapes continued. That August, Ken Allen found a crowbar in his pen that workers had left
I'm
behind.
still not over Ken Allen.
He tossed it to another orangutan, Vicky, who used it to pry open a window and let Ken out. After that incident, he was moved temporarily to an indoor pen with a black and white television with one working channel, according to the Times, while zookeepers increased the security of his original pen.
Why has this not been a feature-length film yet? Why is the adaptation
It's so
of this?
good, isn't it?
This is incredible. What?
They probably should have seen the knack for escaping earlier. Born in captivity, Ken Allen got his name from the two keepers, Ken Willingham and Ben Allen, who rescued him from an also captive mother after she attempted to smother him.
Oh my God.
As an adolescent, he would regularly unscrew the bolt of his cage and explore the nursery at night, returning in the morning and putting it back together before his keepers arrived. This article keeps going on with a load of different attempts, but the main thing was
there is so
the start
much.
of it. Yeah. A number of escapes.
What is? Hang on, sorry. There's a point. I don't know if you've spotted this. There's a
Where's
song.
this? Wait, Ken Allen.
The lyrics to Dennis Gersten's "The Ballad of Ken Allen."
Ken Allen is one hunk of a man.
Hang on.
Never...
Cooper, we have to. I know we can't play it on the podcast, but I feel like we have to find this song and listen to it. Is it on Spotify?
Ballad of Ken Allen.
The Ballad of Ken Allen. It keeps going. The Ballad of
I
Ken
found it on
Allen.
YouTube.
I'm just getting the Ballad of John and Yoko. Can you send me the YouTube link?
Oh my god.
Let me send it to me. We'll listen to it at the same time. Let's not send it over. So if you want to listen along with us live, we'll tell you when to go. Start at 0 on YouTube link by Vintage San Diego on Facebook.
Give it a like, obviously.
Yeah, of course. The Ballad of Ken Allen and California Condor. I'm not gonna play it. I don't think we obviously can't play it on the on the thing. But if you find that video, you can watch along live with us. I'll count down from 3 now, and we can go 3, 2, 1, play. Oh my God! It's got a beat to it. Jesus. It kind of goes hard. You know what else goes hard? The album cover.
That's true. Ken Allen's looking very beautiful in that photo.
He's... Come on!
This is my new karaoke song.
Should we get the lyrics up?
God, like those sense for monkeying around.
Oh, Ken Allen. Bad Ken Allen.
Bad Ken Allen.
Smarter than 100 humans. San Diego Zoo. We should stop singing because we're not going to be in sync. Is ever coming true? We're right. We can stop it there. That's incredible.
10. Best.
Well, I mean, we haven't come up with like a ranking system for the stories yet for Just News, but that's whatever. I mean, we'll work out the ranking for the next episode, I'm sure. But for now, that's
Ken Allen.
Maybe Ken Allen is our ranking.
Maybe Ken Allen is our ranking. God rest his soul.
We're gonna put that in Ken Allen category.
He's his own category. He's just the top.
Hang on, how did Ken Allen die then?
Let's find out.
This episode has just gone an absolute mental direction.
In the winter of 2000, he began acting erratically and was diagnosed with B-cell lymphoma. The Orangang News published a special 2-page tribute edition entitled "A Candlelit Vigil for Him, Retired Postal Employee." Which was the same. With little hope of survival, Ken Allen was euthanized and cremated on the 1st of December 2000 at the age of 29. Or was he? Perhaps Ken Allen faked his death in an elaborate final escape and is laying low in the border of Mexico. And maybe one day he'll return.
Wow. They euthanized him. 29.
I know.
December of 2000. Ken Allen died like 3 months before I was born. I don't think that's a coincidence. Have you ever seen me and Ken Allen in the same room before?
That is true. It's a good point. Maybe you are Ken Allen.
Hang on. Can we just point out the funniest bit here? Retired postal employee and Orange Gang member Marlene McClay told Los Angeles Times...
Orangang.
That makes sense. Orangang member Marlene McClay told the Los Angeles Times he'd have done the same for us. Would he?
I reckon he would have.
All right, well, whatever we decide on our ranking for next time, this is going to go in the top category, which I'm personally proposing to be called Ken Allen.
Ken Allen. I'm happy with that. The Ken Allen ranking.
Oh, well. There we go, then.
That's Ken Allen.
Is there an outro coming?
Rip Ken Allen. That's all I've got to say. But no, thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of Nostalgia Bait. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and make sure you follow us on Spotify or wherever you are listening to your podcasts. Five stars. Give us a nice little review. Good stars. Do you know what? Leave 5 stars in respect for Ken Allen, okay?
In respect for
That's
Ken
what
Allen.
you need. Mm-hmm.
Let's just get some tweets going. Hashtag Rip Ken Allen. Let's get it going.
Hashtag Rip Ken Allen. Hashtag Rip Ken Allen 24 years later. 23 years later. But yeah, thank you for listening. Check us out on Twitter. 5-star review, follow. And we will see you next week for another lovely episode of Nostalgia Bait.
What are we talking about next time? We're talking about birthdays, aren't we?
Birthdays.
Wow. Interesting.
See you for a nice bit. Maybe it's your birthday. So make sure you tune in.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, true. So, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
See you
Goodbye.
later. Hashtag Rip Ken Allen.